Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining this webinar. Without any delay, let's jump into this session. So, today's agenda is going to be how are we going to manage a project and how the design is going to be concurrently handled between the colleagues and how are we going to capture the revision during the event of change action using our traditional SOLIDWORKS with the inbuilt cloud-aware services. Well, SOLIDWORKS is not only a CAD tool anymore. It is bundled with a collective of PDM and PLM capabilities integrated with different domain data into a single unified environment, which are you going to witness throughout this session. For explaining this concept, I had arrived at a scenario of a small organization. They are the manufacturer of standard scissor lift, which is managed by a product manager and a design team headed by a design engineer one. In addition to that, a single user who manages all the assembly and manufacturing team. Let's see how effectively they are using the SolidWorks PDM and PLM capabilities for getting the product to the market. Here the product manager dashboard is loaded with plenty of applications. Let's see how he uses some of the project management tools for effectively converting an RFQ to an order and what strategy he is applying for it to achieve. Once the product manager receives the RFQ, he can preview it right inside the dedicated viewer tool. He understands the specification mentioned in the RFQ and gets a clear view of what he is going to do next. As the specification matches the one of his previous project, he is looking into the standard folder structure where he had organized his complete project library and able to identify it without any delay. He quickly looked into the BOM structure of the assembly and reviewing it, what was the cost involved in the completing of the project and proceeding with this next step. So that here you can able to view the complete cost involved in the each individual item that has been done for the previous project. As he has provided with plenty of options where you can compare BOMs, manage the revisions and reuse the structure as well. Since the requirement matches the previous project specification, he decides to duplicate the project and make use of the same project structure without affecting the parent assembly. Here, you are provided with plenty of applications for design reuse. As you can see, there are much more options like duplicating the component and duplicating the complete structure of the assembly. And you can also be able to duplicate the drawing also, where you can also able to reuse the design change. In which he choose duplicate and apply to replace option so that he rename it accordingly to the requirement and can document it for the project purpose. Though the requirement matches to an extent, but there are some modifications required, right? As a product manager, he knows what to do next because he is provided with the enormous option like attaching a new component, detaching a component from an existing assembly, and replacing a component over some other component. In this scenario, he is increasing the quantity of few components and giving an exact number because he knows what number could be sufficient to meet the requirement. As you see, as he increased the count, it automatically increased the instance in the assembly as well. Within a fraction of second, the instance are created and added as a component to the parent assembly, which become so easy for him to create it. In addition to that, he can also make use of much more options which helpful for him to create a duplicate of a product and create a standard drawing right inside the structure itself. You can also align the structure as per your requirement. As you can see, we can able to customize our own columns with the help of options provided in the tool, so that you can able to add or remove any existing column right inside the option. As a matter of fact, you can export the complete assembly structure to a spreadsheet, which helps you to share the information to a concerned person. The same structure is maintained inside the spreadsheet inclusive of all the attribute values shown. You can also share this to your customer as a reference for costing. In addition to that, you can map this new project into your existing folder structure without any hurdles, and it can be easily accessible for later use. This is also act as a collective of repository for storing supporting informations required for the project and adding few more attachments that are easily attachments, maintaining change records, tracking revision information as well. He utilizes a powerful tool for scheduling his project, and let's see how strategically he is planning for this new project. Where he can create work breakdown structure in the form of new project, a new milestone, and few more options like new gate, new task, where you can also able to add the dependency for the task as well. The first and foremost thing is he is fixing the deadline for this new project. Since this project requires minimal design intervention, he creates tasks for them, and he's using an existing project timeline as a reference source as it was perfectly planned and executed in some other, and assigning it to a member in direct task itself. As you can see, the whole project is assigned to a single person in just a few clicks. Now, the entire project timeline is ready and ready to interlink with all the dependencies. Now, within the task itself, he can provide inputs on what he is going to do and what are the references required for completing it. He can also insist on which directory he can need to save the data. With just the prior information, he can able to do the same. For completing the project, he can add checklist that needs to be included. And in addition to that, he can check all the history regarding this task as well. In addition to that, you can able to track down the project statistics and the complete task progress statuses right here itself. More options like resource allocation overlapping, which helps you to give a clear insight on where the resource is utilized, either in this current project or some other project with options provided here. Once I click the option, you can able to see the classifications between the existing options. You can also check for the dependencies that are created inside the product section. Now, AI can also assist you in this project, where it helps you to predict and prevent all your delayed tasks with clear information of what can be done to overcome it. You can also follow the guidance to improvise your works as well. To know more about the AI features in SOLIDWORKS, kindly make use of the QR to have a look at the webinar. Now it's time for the design engineer to play the powerful task using SOLIDWORKS. Within the SOLIDWORKS itself, he will be instantly notified regarding the task that has been scheduled to him. From there, he can gather inputs on what it has been allocated for and what the task is all about. From nowhere, he gets the CAD model straight away from the task itself, as SolidWorks acquires the data from the dedicated repository, and to show the progress of the task, he just shifts the task into in work stage, which signifies the manager that he took control over the task. So a designer knows from where he needs to start his work, but how to let everyone know what he is working on particular CAD model. In SolidWorks itself, he can reserve the component that he is working, and that signifies everyone about the component is being reserved. SolidWorks do that for you with the inbuilt PDM capabilities. As you see, the components reserved by the design head reflects the same to the concurrent user in his interface. So, when his part of work is completed, he can save it back with the locking, then update the component as well, and mark the shared directory without any difficulty right within the SolidWorks itself. Everything goes butter smooth without any hurdle. Here the beauty is he can create a new task within the SolidWorks itself, where he can provide necessary inputs to complete the task and assign the task to a respective user in just a few clicks. From here, let's see how the second user going to make use of a SolidWorks capabilities to furnish his task. So the user had completed his part of his work, but that needs to be evaluated, right? For which he is changing the maturity state to freeze so that no one can able to modify the design without his knowledge. As a second stage of seeking validation, he can utilize a standard approval workflow within the SolidWorks itself. Then he can add what are the drawings that are need to be approved within the powerful search tool and dig the files with the various filter tags. Then attach all those in a single go. This approval workflow can be initiated from the user end itself. For seeking approval, no need of standard emails or regular follow-ups anymore. So it's a two-stage approval process. It will hit the first level of person first, where he can review the model using a inbuilt CAD viewer and mark his approval in a digital signature with necessary comments itself. The second approver can also do the same once after the first approver completed his task. So he can mark the comment and provide his approval signature. Once the approval is done, the user don't need to source for the latest file anywhere. He can just reload the file from the server to update the information instantly, which improves the design fluency. Now, the assembly and manufacturing team already faced an issue during an assembly. Let's see how he initiated the change action and completed it paperlessly. He just reviewed the assembly and looked for the component. He still finds the model is not updated as per the assembly requirement. So he is creating a markup to document it for future references. This helps him to prepare the markup so simple. He can just eliminate the unnecessary components. He can highlight the required points in the form of annotations, and also he can mark the comments on why he is making the request. Then he can list down the impacted SolidWorks assembly. With all this, he can able to add up markup reasons Then he can able to assign the responsible users and informed users to get notified on approval so that everyone will be aware of what the reason the change is made with the prior document. He then initiates the change action prior to that issue that has been raised from his end. To make this effective, he allocates the user who is going to work on this change, and a standard approval workflow for this change action is also added. We can also include informed users like the business development team, purchase team regarding this change updates. He verifies the proposed for change components, then initiate the change action to notify the users, which brings the clear insights on who is going to work on that issue, who is going to approve it, and who will be notified. So everything is recorded paperlessly. As everything is accessible inside SolidWorks, the designer can look for the change request and can start working on it without any delay. He adds a work under change action button to include the change document as a reference for this change. The designer updates the CAD model as per the requirement. Also, he updates the drawing instantly. He saves the component under this change with the new revision increment of the component and saving it respectively. He then passes the drawing to the approver so that the change won't be in a waiting period anymore. It passes to the next set of people instantly. The approver can review and provide a green flag to complete the change action without any delay. The user can review the document with the best comparison tool to visualize the difference between the revisions and highlights what change can be happened. The end user does not need to have a management tool for getting the real-time update on current status of the project, as he can able to view it right inside the community to preview the current project status as simple as that. So everything is created. You can also share 2D drawings for manufacturing purpose. What will you do if the manufacturer don't have the clarity with the 2D detailing? Will you share the 3D model to him? If so, how you will open the model? For all this, we have a solution within the SolidWorks itself. Here the product manager handles the situation so smartly with the support of SolidWorks. Let's see how. He creates a virtual component of the CAD model in any desired CAD format as provided in this list. Then he shares the model with a restricted level of authority to the respective person with the email ID of the end user. As the end user opens the email, he can just open the CAD model in the 3D viewer and can make use of the 3D model to review and share the feedback in the form of comments, which becomes so simple and effective. From this presentation, you may understood SolidWorks is not a CAD tool anymore, where it has the capability of managing a project task, providing value-added details for managing the product informations, and much more sophisticated features like generating tasks, maintaining approval records, and the complete history of a change execution would be helpful for all the organization types. All the data is maintained in a single source of truth, which eliminates the scattered data, which will helpful for a long run. Start using the fruitful features of SolidWorks immediately.